It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the grand finals to crown the regional champion for Europe. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined here on the desk today by Nathanius. And we got another Zerg versus Zerg headed your way. This is the epic rematch from many a tournament now at this point. From Montreal, from WCS Winter, from, I'm sure,
this is what happens
places.
When the two best Europeans are in the same tournament. They play each other. And thankfully, they were on opposite sides of the bracket so that nobody else would have a chance. And it's going to be a grueling struggle. The one match we can't call no matter how much we think or want to pretend we know about StarCraft.
So the interesting thing about this match is that it hasn't, while of course Serral had his reign of domination and everything, and Reynor did end up beating him at WCS Winter, Serral has since been able to topple Reynor, so there is this back and forth dynamic between the two, and that's what's really exciting. Reynor is also in the past, like a WCS Winter, he kind of broke out that Ling Lurker play, but we haven't really seen too much of it since, I think.
Yeah.
So, which is a little bit disappointing.
I think it's just one of those things that kind of requires a sort of crazy game for it to be possible. Like, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen, I still stand by, like, Serral's ZvZs against the Koreans at BlizzCon last year was the best ZvZ I've ever seen.
Those
But
were phenomenal.
You need two players that are at such a stupidly high level that can play at such a high level for that to even be possible to happen in a game. Mostly because if one player is going at that speed and the other isn't, they are dead way before it gets there.
Yeah. What's kind of interesting is I do think while Reynor, of course, had like I would say a little bit of closer of a series for the first series in the day in the quarterfinals, semifinals straight 3-0, you know, kind of boosting his way straight into the grand finals. Serral's had a tough road. I feel uncomfortable saying these words. Serral had a tough road to the finals today. He's had 2 2-3s. Both of those series, he was at points where I'm like, I could have seen him just losing that series entirely. Like, both of those series were really, really close. I'm wondering if we are going to see Serral in top form to face off versus Reynor today.
I think based on the previous results of today's matches, there's a very good chance that Reynor is able to defeat Serral. And it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody if Reynor beats him. Reynor is the chosen one. He is the boy of prophecy to defeat the Dark Lord of Serral.
He's Gohan.
And yeah, well, like I said, this tournament was just the Cell games, and that's we've come to the conclusion of that, and it's time to find out if justice will prevail.
Time to find out if, in fact, Serral, a.k.a. Cell, is going to get punched in the gut so hard that he reverts back from perfect Cell to semi-perfect Cell.
In full anime fashion, we're just by the way, we're going to finish Europe tomorrow. No, we're not. I don't know.
Find out next time.
Yeah, I was waiting for that lead up.
Yeah.
So I think we're just
waiting on
Serral's
Serral.
not in the lobby yet. Yeah, we're just waiting on Serral. So
Serral was basically calling on his worshippers and his followers. He's like, okay, guys, give me your energy so that I can
I think he's in the lobby now.
Smite this man.
Yes, so he's in the lobby, so we should be starting this one in just a moment. The ready check has commenced, and we're going into King's Cove to start the ZvZ. Reynor 12 pulls this series, maybe. I mean,
it's 12 pull in ZvZ is like a normal opening, right?
Yeah.
If you do a 12 pull no gas, or like it's not a 13-12 or something. My question is, do we see a 13-12 that follows up to like the Baneling Nest and everything? The hyper aggro.
I'll take it. As aggressive as possible.
Yeah. Now, because I did not actually eat anything of sustenance and actual value today because I have horrible allergies, my brain is a little bit loopy, and I have mixed up both everything you have said with Zombie Grub and Team Liquid comments.
It's fine.
But someone on Earth said today that one of the things that people have said about Serral is that his Ling Baneling period of the game is the part that last year didn't really get tested as much. That was like during the meta of ZvZ last year, it was like, let's go straight to Roaches. And I feel like it's getting tested a lot more. We are seeing little points of vulnerability, so I do wonder if that's where something will happen.
Yeah. Let's see. It's time for the grand finals here at WCS Europe Challenger. In the Northwest, we have the red Zerg player. He is Serral.
Got a skull.
The red one is Serral. The nameplates are switched up, just so we're not confused.
And down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. Goes by the name of Reynor. I'm sort of sad, Nate. Reynor's accolades list second at Montreal, and they don't list WCS Winter, which you want.
We gotta upgrade. We gotta update the stats. We gotta update the plates for these guys.
We'll get
at some point.
in control to crunch the numbers on those stats and figure out whatever is the most important.
We need to get Wax Angel here. He's the stats man, right? That was his job.
Gemini's also a pretty big fan of stats, also.
Yeah, but I think he likes CJ and his hero more.
I'm glad you got the joke. We did see a pool before hatchery there for Reynor, though. So he is looking to get a little bit more aggressive. He does have that gas geyser also finished on up, starting to mine nice and early on, starting up Zergling speed. Still leaving 2 workers in gas as well. So this very well could lead into something that Serral's going to be on the lookout for and be very cautious of. We'll see when exactly the next bit of larva is going to be spent.
Yep.
Good old nest.
Good old Zerg versus Zerg. We just gotta wait for people to make choices. But the Bailey Nest being in the back of the main, right? You want it to be as hard to see as possible, which typically suggests that the player building it wants to get aggressive, bring the pain, get some damage done. But Serral has an Overlord watching that ramp from the natural, and his next Overlord is actually going over to the ramp by the 3rd. So it should be impossible for Reynor to get out of his base without being spotted.
Yep. He's already flooding out the lings, though, and Serral, he saw that this was a later hatchery, but he is still droning up. Getting up that Baneling Nest now, Serral is going to be up 7-ish workers. Actually,
those
9
lings,
workers.
by the way, that he snuck out earlier, 3 trillion IQ play. He snuck 2 Zerglings out before the Overlord was there. They have already become Banelings outside of Serral's base. Reynor's going to go for the quick Bopperino. Serral does not have Banelings. His nest just finished, but he is only now going to make those Banelings. So the Lings here can just go straight for that natural, and 2 of them are going to get caught on the bottom of the ramp.
Yeah, interesting little split up over here from Reynor. He sends a couple of the Lings, just enough for service area to work out against the Queens. Then sends the Banelings there, and a couple of these Zerglings working away at the hatchery, a couple working away at the reinforcements that come out from Serral. Serral has a 10 worker advantage, so if he gets away, even just with that worker advantage, it's going to be a really nice spot, but he loses the last of his Queens, doesn't have any Banelings active, he gets that Baneling canceled, and Reynor is starting to make some progress, but is it enough, Nate?
That's hard to tell. I mean, the lane count's really good for Reynor. His army supply looking very, very good. He's, oh my god, wow. You run up the ramp, see that Baneling morphing, and just go for it without knowing how far along it is. Good catch. He's going to end up getting in here to fisticuffs with the drones. The drones actually have really 6 surrounds, so some of those Lings doing nothing, but oh man, that Baneling almost made it to the worker line.
The pickup on the Queen was also really, really nice, and he gets another cancel on one of those Banelings. The hatchery is finally getting worked away at. That's going to have another Queen popping out that gets picked off. GG gets called. Reynor, wow.
He's trying to speed run us through the second half of this, and I appreciate that. We've been live for just about 7 hours now here, WCS Europe. Good times.
Yeah, really, really solid. I mean, this was the question that we were talking about literally right before all of this kind of shaped up. Will Reynor go for one of those kind of things? Because again, it does seem like Serral's not 100% on his game, and I know that people will take those kind of sentences and say like, oh yeah, he's saying that, you know, Drogo didn't play well, like Serral just is not playing well. No, Drogo played out of his mind good.
It's a combination of things, though,
exactly,
for sure. Serral wasn't considered to be the God King because he won close matches. He made every match look ugly, no matter how good the opponent was, which is the real That was the real story of Serral, was that he would win these tournaments without dropping almost any maps.
Yep.
He would lose like maybe one map in the grand finals, I think, at the circuit events. Like if he lost any, it was usually like a map.
I think he at best for a while tied with Neeb for only 3 maps dropped. But yeah, it was still like amazing. 3 maps across an entire tournament. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So the fact that we've had him 5 maps drop today now. Yeah. So he's lost the most maps that he could while still winning the series, of course.
I think he's dropped about as many maps today as he dropped in some seasons of Challenger in the past. Like, just from across the group stages and the playoffs in the past. But all right, guys, Kairos Junction is going to be the next map we're loading on up. Reynor really seems like he wants to get super in his opponent's face and everything. Usually you don't see
no reason not to. It works so well.
He did catch Serral very off guard in that last game. Like, Serral saw that it was not a super fast, like, hatchery or anything. He saw that it was a pool before hatchery. He didn't see the extra lings. He didn't see the banelings and stuff morphing in. But he definitely went, like, 10 drones above his opponent was, like, a little bit excessive. So I think that was just Serral getting caught off guard a bit. We'll see where things go in game number 2 now.
We'll see. We shall see. I wonder if Reynor will cheese again. I kind of want to see it.
You know, I wouldn't hate it either, but I feel like it probably won't.
Can you imagine if Reynor just like dumpsters Serral in the finals of Challenger 4-0 because he's the only player today that like looked really, really, really sharp?
You know, that would complement really well Lambo's recent tweet where he said, I can't read to go on to online internet communities and read about how people say Reynor is the only player that can actually beat Serral.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because Lambo got really, really close to doing it, so.
I mean,
that beats some feels bad, man.
Getting really close doesn't mean you did, though. Who actually beats Serral in tournaments?
Neeb.
Reynor and Neeb.
Yeah. That's true.
I respect the hustle of all players, but you don't get to make those types of claims until you do it.
Oh, that's not the cheese I was expecting. What?
Yeah. Spines, you think?
It has
yet?
to be. I mean, I'm not going to lie, Nate. I feel like I've watched a decent number of ZvZs in my time. I haven't seen this since No Regret found gold bases on some old maps, like 2 years ago. In ZvZ, I have not seen the proxy hatch.
He's going to spine. He's going to try to spine contain him.
The Overlord, is it going to spot it in time? No. Okay, it's on the drone stay to the far north side of the map. This is not going to get spotted.
By the way, I will rebuke myself a little. Someone else did dominate today, and it was a laser in his first match, so he did do very well. So I want to give him his credit, but that was everyone put up a valiant effort until they hit our Titans here, of course, though.
Yeah. All right, the Lings have been revealed, making their way across the map, so Serral's going to be thinking about getting up defenses. He has a Spine Crawler on the way, so does he already know that this is more than just the Lings?
May not be enough to just get one, though, because there's going to be, based on the 3 drones, I imagine we're going to see 3 Spine Crawlers that are going to be pushing up on his natural very soon.
What's really funny is that you invest 300 resources into the hatchery just to get up spines.
He's super
dead.
He cannot lose this Spine Crawler.
That really hurts. That's really...
He starts it, but time keeps on slipping.
Okay, so 3 Spine Crawlers going up there for Reynor. And the thing about it is that those Spine Crawlers are going to have to walk off of creep. So he does have this weird period of time where he can jump on the spines. If there aren't enough Lings here for Reynor, you actually can't burrow the spines. You need to be able to push your opponent's Lings back far enough that they aren't blocking the spines from burrowing.
Yeah, Spine Crawlers, of course, are pretty tanky. They have 2 armor by default, so he's just trying to create the space.
Oh, he doesn't block all of them.
Oh,
he doesn't block any of them.
All 3 spines go to root. Maybe he gets one of them before it finishes rooting, but the other 2 are going to be able to get a lot of work done here. And there they are. And they are in striking range of the hatchery.
Yep.
That is all he needs. And the other spine, the Spine Crawler of Serral, is not in range of the hatch. So he's Well, he's kind of stuck. Okay, Link Flood's going to come out. He's going to
That is a
reposition
lot of
his
Link.
spine, bringing the Queens over. This is Serral's attempt to stop this. He has to shut this attack down right here, right now, and he
going
does. GG, well played. Serral ties the series up 1-1. And we very quickly get ourselves into a best of 5.
A very odd game right there. You just don't see that cheese very often.
No, I think that's you basically just said it.
Yeah, and it's the reason why it's so tough to make something like that work is you are just trying to get up a hatchery, and of course you have a little bit of a proxy there for like your larva and everything for lings. That's nice, but you're effectively spending 300 minerals just to start the spines outside of vision range of your opponent. Because technically, if you just wanted to build spine crawlers, if that's your entire goal, was just to build the spine crawlers, you could do it on your opponent's creep. You don't actually need to build it on your proxy hatchery. It's just to make sure that they get up outside the vision range of your opponent. So it's kind of like a really big gamble. I mean, not. It is a big gamble there, hoping that Serral wasn't prepared.
And the other thing is the resources that he was mining, well, his Zerglings did not cross the map very quickly to reinforce that.
Yep.
So, well, yes, you have that proxy hatchery because of the aforementioned spine crawlers. The Zerglings he was making in his main took forever to get there. And Serral got speed as well. So just very well held, very well defended by Serral. Those are the types of builds that you make like 1 or 2 mistakes against. And then, you know, a little bit of hesitation costs you a couple links here, a couple links there. Reynor gets a few more Zerglings over to support that spine. Game rolls out of control very quickly. But Serral did a great job defending against it. And now we are going to go to New Repugnancy for game number 3.
All right. Interested to see what kind of cheese Reynor can bust out in this game. I think this is the one that we get a normal macro game. I wouldn't hate if it was a cheese from Reynor.
I'll take cheese fests all day.
You know what? I'm going to call it the opposite. I think this is where Serral throws out, like, not necessarily a big all-in cheese, but I think this is where Serral throws out an early pull at least.
Okay.
That's my guess.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I need a nap, Fear Dragon. Keep up.
Why? Did you wake up early today?
Just a little bit.
All right. Game is loading on up. Series is tied up 1-1 in this best of 7. We're going to see who is the regional champion. Both these guys have won one premier event this year. Reynor winning WCS Winter, and of course Serral winning WCS Spring. So the kind of setup for WCS Summer is, of course, if anyone else can win, but more importantly, I think a lot of people are saying, will it be Reynor or Serral?
I think it's very, very difficult to see a world where these two guys do not continue to dominate the foreign StarCraft scene throughout 2019. Probably one of the more interesting things to consider is the assembly announcement, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Asus ROG.
Yeah, so that event being added, highly likely to see Serral competing there in Finland.
Turns out he lives there, so...
Yeah. Never been to Helsinki. That sounds fun. But
sounds like a heaven sinky.
But those who seek the more varied competition, that event should be interesting alone for the fact that some Korean players may end up going there to
I think there are 4 qualified spots and stuff. But from what I hear, you actually do still need to fly yourself out even if you qualify.
Yeah. It's going to be more like an open style tournament, like the days gone by. And the Koreans won't be playing for points. So basically, do any of the top dogs want to try and win it? Because it'd probably not be worth it to show up and lose early on.
As opposed to the days of the past, though, where like, 2013, 2014, the Koreans look at that tournament and they're like, okay, if Serral beats me in second place, enough money to justify this?
Yeah. This is, Nah. Well, back in those days, we were paying them to come deny our players of making any money.
This is true.
So they retire.
Those MLG days, man.
The quote-unquote good old days.
All right, so with all that stuff out of the way, we do see that both these players did open up with Hatchcast Pool, normal stuff. Zergling speed coming out for both of these players, and we don't actually see any cheeses this game.
Nope.
Kind of nice. Of course, I mean, there's always the room.
You say that,
this.
and
I know.
like the links start being built, and it's like
I feel like whenever I say that,
4, 6, 8.
Whenever I say that, it needs to just be like a little addendum, a little asterisk, which says, yet.
Yet.
Yet. This is, I mean, actually, I'm trying to remember. So I think it was Serral in his series versus Lambo. Serral, in pretty much all of those games, was the first one at around 25 to 26 workers, was just saying, okay, this is where I start making a bunch of lings and put more pressure on my opponent. Not necessarily an all-in, but was making a lot more lings than Lambo was. Lambo's going up to like 30-some workers. So we'll see. Is Serral going to feel the same way about Reynor? Doesn't look like it so far.
Nope. The Evo Chamber a bit earlier for Reynor, though. Wondering if we're going to see that +1 melee. And Serral's starting to squeeze out the Zerglings.
Okay.
A lot more. Oh, he's adding more. Are you going to see a drone? You're going to mix a drone in there, Serral? Or are you hungry for blood?
No Evo Chamber being added on either. And there is that +1 melee you were talking about. Patented Reynor with his Zerglings.
I like that we make comments like players have patented styles as if someone else getting fast +1.
So actually, do you remember when Reynor did like the lurker ling stuff?
Yeah.
And there was a whole like outbreak of players saying like, I did this first. Like Risky was like, I invented lurker ling. I've been doing this since 2014.
Yeah, reminds me of that one crazy guy that said he invented mech or something stupid a long time ago. Good times.
Oh, that one Diamond League player that was like, I got get up a sensor tower against a Blink Stalker all-in. +1 melee coming out there for Serral, though. So even though he hasn't added on that Roach Horn, he is playing Transition out, and there it does finally get added on. But with +1 melee here for Reynor, he is absolutely looking to make some use out of those Zerglings sooner rather than later. The styles where you can stick around on Zerglings for a really long time are definitely viable, but they are very difficult to pull off. So it should be fun to see if Reynor is going to opt to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, with the +1 missile attacks coming in from Serral, his roaches will do very well at killing the lings, but the lings will be good at killing them as well, too. I think the 2 hits from the roaches is more impactful in that scenario.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Reynor is bringing his Banes over. Wow, denied hard.
Yeah, Serral getting really good connections there to just
Serral just got like a counterattack in as well during that with some Banelings. 6 drones died. So, yeah, Reynor is at 26 to 40. So he's dead.
This
he
is
has
all
to do
in
something.
territory.
I think he's already dead. I'm scared that Serral just builds roaches and A moves him because he has +1 attack about to finish.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a way to counter what you were saying, but because +1 weapons is so close to finishing also for Serral, to complement even just a few roaches he's going to have out, this just went from difficult to nearly impossible.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is the lings have +1 for Reynor, so they should never lose a ling versus ling fight. But Serral should never take. He should not be taking a ling versus ling fight. Now he just needs to get the roach count up a little bit.
Oh, and there go all of Reynor's Banelings, so we can't take care of those for Serral anymore. Those lings.
Loses that queen right there, but just gets another huge chunk of the lings of his opponent again.
This is a nice pick-off. This is the kind of stuff you want to be able to do with a lot of lings.
Serral has so many drones.
Yeah.
He is 45 to 27, and Reynor just finished a wave of 3, and he's got 3 more that are about to finish, and he's added 4 more. But I feel like if Serral can get up to, he's got 10, I was going to say maybe like 12 or so roaches, the potential for an attack could be devastating. So Reynor just needs to try and keep Serral at home, which I think is what he's trying to do right now.
Yeah.
And if he can do that, then he just basically has to try and squeeze out drones nonstop, because that's all he's been doing, and he's almost caught up.
Yeah, he's getting there. Serral, of course, with that lair, going to be finishing up. Both opens up the opportunity for +2 missile attack, as well as roach speed, and hey, even something like a Nidus Worm. But actually going to start up finally a Carapace upgrade from that Evo Chamber, rather than any of that stuff I just mentioned.
I like that a lot.
And the second Evo Chamber also being added on at the same time. How do you feel about like a Nidus Worm follow-up here? I feel like the Nidus Worm stuff against a Ling player can be really, really nice. Not necessarily for the whole, oh, the Lings can't kill the Nidus Worm very quickly, but just
with the +1,
you get across the map.
Yeah, with the +1, I think they could kill the Nidus very quickly. But
yeah.
I think the safer play is to just get roach speed and start +2. Yeah, so he does do that. Just because the Nidus is like too all in. Like, Reynor hasn't done anything but try to crank out drones for the last, like, 2 minutes of this game. And now he's finally going into roaches, but Serral has had that economy for a while. And with this next wave that he's pushing out is going to get him full saturation on his third base. And since he already has units, he's in a good position defensively. So I think he just power up and go for a big attack soon with roach speed finishing, which should time out very nicely against the Spire. If he waits, then the Mutalisks will start to come out for Reynor and will potentially have him be able to smite down Serral's army if he gets too many. This Overseer, if it goes straight north, should also see the Spire.
And that is exactly where it's going to go. So he'll have some advanced notice and maybe prompt some of his decision-making of, okay, +1 Carapace is getting close to finishing. Do I go now or do I wait for +2 missile attack and roach speed when my opponent's probably going to have a couple of Mutalisks on the way? Hydralisk Den already gets started up, and Drop Overlord, something that Serral has definitely been utilizing pretty well today.
Yes, we've seen a lot of those. Wants to take this 4th base. Roaches and Lings are going to roll up to help the war effort. And that +1 Ling melee. Oh, I attacked one of his own roaches for a second there.
Thank God for +1 armor.
Honestly, the only reason why he didn't kill that roach is because Reynor poked again. So Reynor actually saved that roach's life.
Stop hate crimes against your own people. Yeah.
Yes.
9 mutas on the way, and the mutas actually, surprisingly enough, I don't think that this is anything that is even on Reynor's mind, but the mutas will be really helpful for the Drop Overlord.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even know that it matters anymore because Serral has so much money and he's starting to go into like Hydralisks, which for a direct engagement, he should be able to get up enough to deal with Mutalisks, and then everything else just comes back to Spore Crawlers.
The nice thing is you also do just get so much map control because you have map vision and you push back all of your opponent's
Like, look
overlords.
at that. Do you see that? He used Overlords to poop creep so that he could start the Spore Crawler before the mutas came. And
it looks like Serral doesn't, or sorry, Reynor doesn't care.
yeah, I mean, Reynor going straight there helps a lot. But even that, just buying him a bit of time, the Hatch has not lost really any health, and now the Hydralisks are here to push them away. And the hatchery will spread creep so he can build more spores.
Yeah. So Reynor's just going to dart around with these mutas, try and find any free damage, maybe pick off like a stray Hydra, some Overlords, etc. But it's really just about keeping his opponent at home while he can continue to get up more stuff behind this. So he's adding on a bunch of Banelings, I think. Yeah, there's the Baneling production and the Baneling nest.
Serral wants to fight. Serral wants to fight. Now, Banelings are amazing versus Hydralisks. So I think Serral's game plan here is he just wants his Banelings to blow up Reynor's Banelings, and then his Roach Hydra should be able to clean up pretty much everything.
Yeah, all right. Well, his Banelings, Serral's Banelings don't actually have Baneling speed, so they have a little bit harder of a time finding the connections. Here come the Banelings for Reynor, but they can't quite make their way through the Roach defense. Is it still enough, though? He did some damage to his opponent's Roaches, and looks like Serral's army is starting to collapse.
He got some of the Roaches past the wall and was able to hit the Hydras. Very nice. Reynor seizing control of this game, kills all the expensive units of Serral. And I got to say, very, very interesting engagement to watch, considering that Serral had his +2 missile attacks for that and Reynor didn't. So even the upgrade lead was not enough for Serral to break his opponent.
Those Banelings really making the difference there, I guess. Even if a lot of them were just hitting the Roaches, it still does soften them up. It's not as effective versus Roaches as Hydras, but it still works.
Banelings do AoE damage. They do the same damage to every unit that they hit.
Yep.
So even against units that they don't do bonus damage to, I think the rule of thumb is if the Baneling can detonate and hit 3 units, doesn't matter what units they are, the Baneling is cost effective. Yeah.
Okay, so we're starting to see more and more of these Roaches getting hit by those Raptor Corrosive Biles. Queen's being rallied to the front line here for Serral. He does actually have quite a few units.
Yeah, I was going to say, Serral did a really good job of building himself up to defend against this and like pre-pulling those Queens up at the top of a ramp, expecting Reynor to go for the counterplay.
Now it might start being a little bit too much, though. Well, as I say that,
Reynor doesn't have any Carapace upgrades, and +2 is about to finish for Serral. So
you're right.
He's now ahead 2 upgrades with this Roach versus Roach.
You are very right now. And there's also more of these Ravagers here now for Serral, since he's been able to push Reynor so far back. One Queen also added in, still a little bit of extra DPS and some tank ability. Serral pushing his opponent back hard. His Roaches are so much tankier than his opponents. We don't, and that's the other thing, we just don't really have a transition point here for Reynor right now. Sure, he has a Spire and everything, but it's just going to be Lings, Roaches, and Ravagers. And again, these Roaches and Ravagers, even the Lings, like, they don't have any Carapace upgrades. They aren't actually going to be able to survive versus those Roaches.
Nope, they won't. Gonna get 2-shot pretty easy. Although I think once the Roaches get like +2, it doesn't matter anymore as far as the upgrade thing with the Zerglings go. Does squeeze a few Roaches into the backside of the 4th. Gets 4 drones for his trouble. And, ooh, is that Banes? Yes, they are.
Yeah, really cool to see from Serral throughout today. Because I feel like we did see like a stopping of the usage of Drop Overlords for a while. Good long while. Zerg players just didn't really feel like making them.
Problem is Zerg players just aren't as good as Serral. That's the real struggle there, Fear Dragon.
Serral's
used them in like almost every game I've seen today.
My mind is just darting back to all the John SC2 memes about Serral with the golf club, just all the problems normal Zerg players have, and then Serral is just carefree in his own land.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm actually pretty good, so it's not really a problem for me. Only 2 workers killed, and of course also loses the Drop Overlord, but he's got some Roaches also continuing to counterattack and is going to be able to kill quite a few workers here. This is some really nice damage.
Yeah, this is great. Great pickups for Serral, and it's a nice little snap back to the push that he had on his 4th base just a moment ago. He's going to add some Spines, Infestation Pits. Lurkers are coming out. And that's where this gets real tricky, because Reynor is sticking to the lair tech. He is sticking to the Roach Ravager Baneling army, which as lurker count starts to grow, is going to get worse and worse and worse.
Uh-oh, got to be careful though. The Lurkers on the front line, they are now going to be covered by some of the Roaches. Oh, the Lurker waves annihilate the Banelings. They're gone, and so is a lot of Reynor's army.
We just watched, oh my god, that was beautiful.
I'm going to count the kills on these Lurkers. We got 13 kills. I got 8 kills. I got 6 kills. Oh, one of these Lurkers is
all those Banelings died in like 2 attacks. From
I think a 13 kill Lurker is just like 13 Banelings.
That is beautiful.
Well, went ahead, get Burrow, Tunneling Claws, and your Hive all up because your opponent doesn't have a lot of other ways to pressure you.
Nope. Oh, this is bad news. This is bad news. He's getting his own Infestation Pit because he'll need a Hive. Vipers are a good way to deal with Lurkers.
As are the Ravagers.
Yeah. So Vipers, Vials, all solid choices. But Serral, when he gets his Hive, we see Adaptive Talons. This game is going to get ugly very, very fast if Reynor cannot catch up in tech.
Yeah. Reynor has taken some damage earlier on, but funny enough, he's actually up in workers. Oh, that 1 or 2 Lurkers that were in range, just pushing everything back once again. There's no Overseer with this army, which is another big problem. The Hydras, I think I've been able to take them out a couple of times. Oh, okay, Reynor does have 2 Overseers somewhere around the map. I don't see them here, though. It's just Ravagers. That's what he's relying on.
Parting the sea of Roaches to get those Lurkers up towards the base at the same time. Big Roach attack on the top side of Reynor's base. Those Roaches you were talking about, they've not only got those Tunneling Claws, we have Burrow done so they can maneuver position very well. And the Lurkers just getting a full-on engagement. Every upgrade that Serral needs is on the way behind this, so even if he doesn't kill Reynor, he's going to be able to do so a lot more effectively later on. And those Roaches that he has that are hurt can burrow them, get a little healing action done. GG! Serral goes up 2-1 in this best of 7 in our Europe Grand Finals. Very, 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 very good engagements by Serral.
Yeah, whatever tweets that he was making about warming up, it's not really an issue anymore. He's looking really, really solid right now.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But yeah, no, he's playing well. It's good to see.
I'm really excited to see where things are going to go with the rest of this series. But Nate, we are going to be going to a short break, 3 minutes on the clock, and we will be back with more of this grand finals to crown the regional champion. Don't go anywhere. You're watching WCS Challenger. The series score is 2-1 currently as we move into game number 4 of our grand finals here for Season 2 of Challenger 2019. My name is still Fear Dragon. I'm still joined by Nathanius. Nothing has really changed.
If you had to change your name, though, what would it be?
So most people have told me Swag Dragon is what I should do.
You don't have to be a dragon.
I know.
You could be a different mythical creature. You could be like a fear hippogriff or something, you know?
Would you really fear hippogriff? Actually, hippogriffs do seem
Have you seen?
Actually, yes. That is fair. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it. I didn't even think the option was there for me. Ask me again next time. I'd tell you what my last name would be if I could change my last name.
None of us are chained to our fates. There are things we can do.
If you could change your last name, what would it change to?
My last name?
Your last name.
Belmont.
Belmont?
Yes.
I know what games you've been playing
100%.
Okay. I could see that.
I'm very proud of my last name.
Nathanius Belmont.
I'm very proud of my last name, but if I had to, then yes, I could. Yes, and my first name would legally be Nathanius then too. I do get that. There are people who think it's legally Nathanius. That's fun. People think that's a real name.
I thought your first name was Nathan and middle name was Agnes.
Oh my God. I'd tell you to get out of here, but honestly, I don't want to cast a ZvZ alone, so...
Yeah. All right. Well, remember, guys, it is a best of 7, so this is still not match point here for Serral, unlike the rest of the day has been, where player gets up 2 games, and then we say, all right, they just need 1 more. Serral still got to lock down 2 Ws versus Reynor. So Reynor still has some more room to work with, and those cheeses were working out relatively well for him, at least in the first game. Second game, a little bit harder, but that was a bit more of an unorthodox one. So I really wouldn't hate again. Even if it's not a cheese, get aggressive. Get in your opponent's face with a Ling Bane aggression.
Yes, and yes, Fear Dragon. But I think it's very likely, very possible for Reynor to bring this back as well to an equilibrium. So I just want the action to stay going. That's my favorite thing about these 2 players, is that they are the least passive out of basically everybody. And I think today an argument can be made that, Showtime tried to, crank up the heat to 11. He didn't really sit back at all any of his games, but things just didn't work out for him. And I'm not going to harp negatively on him. I'm just going to say that I enjoy it when players give us things where we get on the edge of our seats about how a fight's going to go, which makes a lot of sense. Because honestly, going back to if you get into a long PvZ, and the Zerg gets a bunch of Infestors and Broodlords and Spore Crawlers.
Oh, really? Is that something that happened today?
Yeah, you don't really win against that, so I totally respect and understand Showtime's attacks and his strategies.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have Zergling speed on the way for both of these guys. Both of these players going to be starting up their 3rd bases, and I imagine both of them are going to be getting up their Baneliness unless Reynor decides to cut some corners, but of the players to maybe cut out Lings and Banelings, I feel like Serral's the one that would do it, less so Reynor. But, I'm ready to be proven wrong as it starts with a lair. Yeah.
Ay. What do you think? Reynor Nidus? Ling Bane Nidus Poggers?
Well, he'd throw down a Baneling Nest later on if that was going to be the case, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah,
there it is.
The Baneling Nest.
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah, just the fact that we don't really see. I'm waiting to see if he's gonna throw down the Evo Chamber. Because if he throws down the Evo Chamber, I'm like, okay, maybe he's just thinking about.
I don't know. I don't have any real reasoning or logic behind my call for a Nidus. By the way, I'm just saying. I just want it.
Yeah,
I just want it.
What we don't see very often these days? We really don't see many mutas. Like just straight. I'm going like 3-base muta. It just doesn't happen.
Mutas are one of the few units that have not been given an absurd power creep in the last few years, Fear Dragon. That's the problem. Mutas got their buffs in Heart of the Swarm, and then every other unit in the game got buffed around them, and they were left as they were. But it is going to be a fast Spire, so maybe we'll see your dreams come true, and we'll get some hot and heavy Mutalisk action.
Nate.
Or this will be one of those really weird ZvZs from 2017 with Corruptor spam. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that would... actually, even I think it was WCS Winter. We saw some.
Yeah, it was WCS Winter. We had people go Corruptor versus Corruptor.
That was amazing.
It was terrible. I hated it, and I hope I never see it again.
That was one of my favorite days.
I would die happily if I never saw 2 Zerg players Corruptor rush each other.
So it looks like Reynor's actually going into the style that I always, like the first players that I saw doing this was True. There may have been some players before that, but True is the guy who used to do this style a lot. He actually was able to take out players like Lambo and a Laser back in 2017 and like Valencia and stuff with this, where he goes for Lings and Mutas just in large numbers. But the idea here is that you never actually win the direct fight unless you're just catching small groups of reinforcements in the middle of the map at like weird angles with your Lings. And it's a very, very difficult style to play. You have to be so all over the map. You have to constantly be catching your opponent off guard, getting all these run-bys in. But this is Reynor. That's what he does. This is his playstyle in a sense.
Yep. There's that Nidus network, by the way. I was right all along. Hey, Fear Dragon, we both got what we wanted.
Hey, everything works out in the end. See, these guys just like to reward the viewers.
Now the stream turns into a musical, and we all dance, and everybody wins.
I don't know how Muta DPS works versus a Nidus.
Well, Mutas do 9 damage a hit. The Nidus has 3 armor when it's emerging.
Yeah.
Or is it, did we settle on, yeah,
no,
it's 3 now, right? Because when it was 5, it was unkillable.
Yes, it should be 3 because workers do 2 damage to it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Nidus Room comes up in a location where Reynor does not have vision, but his mutas are heading in that general vague direction. Question is, are any queens coming out? Yes, we do have a couple of queens coming out, so those mutas cannot just dive in on top of it. They can dive in on top of this one, though.
Yep, and that's one of the really nice things. Like, the mutas give you that utility, of course. You want them to help defend against these attacks, too, though. And that's where the struggle becomes very real.
Oh,
and
Nate,
oh my god, target the Spire. No more mutts for Reynor. And now the queens are coming out. Wouldn't even be surprised to see some drones to build offensive spore crawlers as we have the queens going in and out of the Nidus network, trying to run away from them. And what Serral wants to do is spread himself out between the bases, get rid of all of those drones. Quite a few of them transferring over, but the Mutalisks are going to whack away at the roaches. Serral has not yet actually brought himself ahead in workers. He killed 13, but it's tied right now.
He does take out the third base, and some of these banelings are getting sniped off over here. So Reynor, he's building up that muta count to be pretty high, and there's only 1 queen really left on the map now for Reynor. Still 4 queens left around there for Serral.
Okay, this is where things start to fall apart for Reynor, though. He no longer has an equal worker count, and there are so many roaches. Another Nidus in the main, by the way, popped up. So the units were able to reposition, and those drones, I mean, just run in, and run in, and run in, Fear Dragon.
Unfortunately, Nate, I don't see what the counter play here is for Reynor. He takes care of, let's say, everything here.
It's the sacred art known as pressing the G key twice.
He's going to build 2 greater spires.
Because the thing is, no matter what way this push ends, if it ends, there's going to be spore crawlers made the moment Reynor thinks that he cannot continue this attack. And he's spamming out queens back home as well. Like, he's still building queens. So he's not going to be without some level of defense. I mean, it's weird to say this, but he's rallying queens across the map, in a manner of speaking.
Yep, through that Nidus Swarm. A couple of roaches do make their way back over to the third bases. 38 workers have gone down at this point, guys. Reynor is sitting at less than half the worker count of his opponents. Serral is just continuing to find more and more damage. The first time the Spire finished, we had 9 or so mutas come out. And the second Spire finished before it got sniped off, and 2 more mutas were made during that time.
And you see that X-45 drones. Oof, ouch, owie, my bones. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
And guess what? You want to go back across the map? Cool story, Brent. 6 spore crawlers on the way.
He didn't kill the Overseer, so there's still Nidus Worm potential in the main. Oh no, Reynor. Oh, that really hurts, actually.
You know what you do now is you keep building queens, you get infestors for the lulls, and you spam out infested Terrans and watch Mutalisks die to rocket launchers.
Oh, I feel like that's not even necessary at this point, but could do it.
Necessary? Yeah, it's probably not necessary.
All right, the mutas do return back, get the Overseer before any more Nidus Swarms or anything are thrown down.
Well, Reynor going for a Lurker Den. Well, he is getting
Smart.
Infestors.
Yeah.
he's gonna infest the Terran him. Well, if he can get up to Lurkers, then anything becomes possible. Like Muta Lurker is not a bad combination of units. There's so many queens.
Can you just imagine, like, it's the Zerg equivalent of Phoenix TT, where you just snipe off all the detection?
Serral just needs one moment to get a Nidus on the other side of the map, and I think he can just end this game right now. But with the number of queens he has, and just the handful of Infestors, I joke about infested Terrans, but like one fungal in range of these queens, and all the mutas will die anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, since he has more than one Infestor, if he lands a fungal, then he will most likely be able to land another, and then the pain really, really hits.
Yeah, I think the big thing here for Serral, what he probably needs to wait on, besides just, things like Carapace upgrade, good to let those finish.
The vision. He's got an Overlord going around the top side, the very, very tip top of the map. So he's going to, and he's got that Changeling.
Oh, it's going to get caught by the mutas. That's a lot of mutas. It's not going to finish.
Nope, it won't, but the one on the top side will.
And Overseer, I think, is going to be the big bait that draws all the mutas into that location.
No, this was 3 trillion IQ. He was basically just like, I'm going this way, I'm going this way. Hey, man, I'm going this way.
Oh, no, you denied it.
Oh, no.
Whatever will I do?
Oh, no, I can't build a Nidus. Doesn't matter.
He's actually supply blocked, so that was actually kind of annoying to lose. But there is that Nidus Swarm finishing up on the north side. Going to deny that.
You hear that,
again.
you're like, oh, my God, where is this one? And it's just these Lurkers need to save the day. And it will be hard for them to do that without Mutalisk support if he's playing Whack-A-Mole with Nidus now.
Remember that the Infestors can actually fungal the Lurkers, and they will be revealed, by the way.
That is the worst, weirdest way to try and deal with Lurkers, but you're right.
I just mean if he loses
no,
an Overseer.
It's the only thing that it's the only thing that keeps Reynor from losing this game. But Luca D supply.
So
Luca D Queen supply. We need a third tab. There's worker supply, army supply, and queen supply.
This is like an Amazonian army, just the Queen army coming forward.
The matriarchs push up into the natural. GG.
GG.
And Serral finds himself one map win away from sweet, sweet victory here in WCS Challenger Season 2.
I mean, the exciting thing for me about that ending was that we did get to see
You got it.
Reveal the Lurkers.
You want it, you got it. Fear Dragon wanted it, and baby, he got it.
Serral and Reynor both giving us exactly what we want. But now we're going to be going into game number 5, and Serral sits up 3-1 at this point.
One more map win, and Serral will walk away the champion of Europe. Where have we heard that before?
And Nate, this is one of those maps where I do think, again, it's a great map for just taking 3 bases, sitting back, macroing up. It's Thunderbird.
Thunderbird.
So, unless, and I'd be very surprised to see this in a Zerg versus Zerg, you see a Zerg player mining out your opponent's minerals by the 3rd base. That doesn't really happen.
Hey, these are 2 players that might actually do that.
You think so?
Versus each other? Yes. Will it actually happen? No, because it would be too satisfying.
Watch it be Reynor, and he will do it so that he can build the hatcher, the proxy hatcher in game 2 at his opponent's 3rd base, secretly.
I'm all for it.
Are you though? I'm not about that.
Well, you proxy hatch the gold gas base so that you can use one drone to build banelings infinitely off of your proxy and all in them. There you go. Boom.
When does having 2 less drones on gas pay for itself to build an extra hatchery for it?
I thought we were having a competition for bad ideas. My apologies.
It is actually a great YouTube series I think would do quite well. You get like almost good ideas that are still really bad, but they like almost have logic to them.
Yes. Yeah. Call them 99% useless strategies.
That's actually
I already trademarked.
That's a pretty good one.
Give up.
I'm actually pulling out my phone because I didn't want to write that down. Because I have a notepad that I have roughly like 35 of these ideas written on.
Excellent. But now I've got your series title.
Well,
just give me 10%
royalty.
royalty. I'm generous. 10%. That's all I want.
Cool. 10% of zero is still 0.
Hey, man. From my perspective, in the worst case scenario is that you make millions and I only make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Here we are. Thunderbird. So we were kind of talking about this as our wonderful observer today, Awesome Sauce, will now show you. The entrance for your bases is all at the front, right here.
It's all at the front. This is the funnel.
You cover this, you cover all 3 bases.
That's right. It's a very good defensive map. And just in case, because this could be the last map for today, I should just let you all know that I asked Awesome Sauce if he had to be an anthropomorphic actual sauce of some kind. He said he'd be Wild Sauce from Buffalo Wild Wings, which is very emotional to me because that's Rotterdam's main reason for having been in America for the last month was...
Oh.
Yeah, he's
that's so sweet.
He, much like a vampire, requires the sustenance.
Someone, but...
Yeah, Rotterdam requires the sustenance of American wing sauce in order to live, which is why he came back. So
that's why he keeps bringing us to Buffalo Wild Wings. That makes sense.
Yep. Well, he doesn't necessarily bring anybody, but he's sure there.
All right.
We're going to get a Nidus this game. It's the fastest way to attack on a big map. I mean, both players have been so aggressive in this series, and I love it.
I definitely wouldn't hate a Nidus Storm, even if it's not a super early Nidus Storm or something. Just like kind of the way that Lambo was using it, where it wasn't all in. It was a way to continue pressuring and to keep your opponent at home, keep them on edge. Almost kind of like getting Tunneling Cloud Roaches or, I don't know, a Drop Overlord.
Yeah, which we've seen all of the above. So excited. I'm excited. Reynor and Serral are the 2 players that make me care about ZvZ. And that says a lot.
So we do see hatcheries finished up. We're going to find out if these guys are going to do what you would expect on this map, which is take fast third bases, because this is a much easier map to not only defend that one choke point, but it's also on a high ground. So your opponent's going to be running up the ramp kind of blindly, potentially into some banelings, etc. This is a lot easier to defend, so there's no reason not to. And Serral agrees. Reynor agrees. Both these guys getting their thirds.
Okay, so we get our somewhat normal macro game at long last. Last game was a macro game. It was just a little bit
It became
weird.
one, yeah.
It became one.
It did not start one.
Out of necessity. The map evolved. The game changed.
But how do you feel about the Ling Muta style, like the +1 melee, getting up the Mutas, in a situation where
if your name is not Sasha, I don't like it.
All right, so reserved for Scarlet and True, I guess.
Yeah, and to further elaborate on that, we have a lot of Lings on the way from Serral, and the Lair is coming in for Reynor. I don't really mean that. I think Reynor and Scarlet are both very good at it, but we've also seen, this is going to sound really weird, but the build just doesn't work as well versus players who are also really good. Like, I feel like we see Scarlet rip NA nerds apart with it because she is so much better, not necessarily because the strategy is the best. If you get
the build is made to create openings and punish them.
Yes.
It's if your opponent doesn't make mistakes, you are in a really tough spot.
Yeah. So we've got Serral going for the jugular here with a huge Ling Bane Flood. The Baneling Nest is not even done for Reynor. So all he can do is try to wall with the queens, and as the Lings chew through it, he is going to have a really difficult time saving this attack off. Serral trying to win the game right here, right now. He gets on top of the morphing Banelings. The drones are running back into the main base. You got 2 Banelings right here looking for a sweet shot on some Lings. And if they can get to the drones, that could be G to the E to the E-E-G from Reynor. But he's got 1 Baneling that is about to pop.
Oh my God! Why are you playing with us like this? I think it's still going to be okay, because remember, Reynor is not mining during all this.
GG, Serral does it. He's your WCS Challenger champion for Season 2 in record time. That was, yeah.
So remember how we were doubting Serral a little bit?
Yeah, the briefest analysis that I can do of that game, basically what happened is, I think Reynor was planning to go for a Spire or a Nidus, but he was saying, okay, big map, let's both go 3 bases, and I'm going to play more tech-related style and try to punish, you know, something that you might do greedily.
Yeah.
Serral says, it's a big map, both going 3 bases. I think you're probably going to go for a tech play, so I'm going to Ling Flood you with some Banelings in case you have Lings, and just kill you with Mass Zerglings. And it worked very well, because the Lair was done. He had the Evo Chamber in the wall, and eventually got a Baneling Nest, but he just didn't have anything ready for it. He got blindsided.
Yeah. Really, really well done. Serral, once again, your regional champion. WCS Winter, he says, not going to be repeated. And, of course, Serral now going to walk away with $1,600. He's going to walk away with some more WCS points.
That he doesn't need.
That he doesn't need, but consider the alternative where if you think about the WCS like points and where they've been awarded, with Reynor winning WCS Winter, so that's like one premier victory for Reynor, and then WCS Summer going to Serral. Serral had won one season of Challenger. If Reynor had won the other, like this season of Challenger, then maybe they would have been a little bit closer, and
we would have been a little
there would have
closer
been some
to a Thanos situation.
Maybe,
yeah.
Sometimes the seeding, just like a little bit of a difference.
That's
can help.
true. That's true.
But regardless, Serral comes out on top and says, no, not going to be an issue. So let's recap the day, because we had some really crazy series today in terms of really close ones.
Yes, we did. Well, man.
We started off very strange.
Yes, we had the wild series with Drogo that got very odd. Euthermal, 14 racks, Reaper memes, a laser shutting down all of Showtime's aggression.
Yeah.
And then Reynor and Marine Lord playing a very long best of 5 that went the distance. We saw everything in that matchup. But at the end of the day, it was Serral that was victorious and able to close it all out. Yeah, I mean, everybody looked pretty competitive today. I think I really liked Showtime's games, even though it was an 0-3. I really think it came more down to a laser playing very, 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 very well. But, I mean, slipping in the ZvZ, of course, to Reynor afterwards, but who can blame you?
No, I think it's a fantastic summary of things. So with that being said, we know who our top 4 players are who are going to get those extra seeds to WCS Summer. We know who, of course, the European champion is. But, guys, we actually have North America happening tomorrow. The WCS Challenger Season 2 North American Finals in the playoffs are going to be happening tomorrow, much later on than today.
We'll be starting an hour ago tomorrow, I think, ish.
Yes. As opposed to, what is it, 8 hours ago that we started today? Yeah. So much more reasonable time for the North Americans. The Europeans will definitely be able to enjoy at least some of the earlier matches or stay up a little bit later and enjoy some NA memes with the rest of the gang. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you all tomorrow. And until then, happy StarCrafting.